What did I think of Borat?
Nobody wanted to come here anymore.
Like, I didn't come to Kazakhstan to hear...
You're Muslim, why do you do this?
Are there cafeterias and mosques usually? It's good.
Like, they really look you up and down and assume that I'm Russian.
Yeah.
It was just me and like 15 Kazakhs.
How safe is Kazakhstan?
Okay.
Okay, well now I'm like
Take three?
short.
You are short, but I think that's just because you're shorter than me.
I know.
I don't think it's like...
I just don't want to catch like the back of your head, but...
Alright, so I have been in Kazakhstan for 2 weeks now, and we're here to debrief. It's been very interesting, and it's gone by too quickly. I'll be back in the summer, I hope, when it's warmer. What questions do you have for me?
I guess your first impressions?
Well...
So what were you thinking of it and how it turned out to be?
Well, I came here...
I'm pulling up the questions so that you don't comment bad things about me.
No, of course not. My first impressions were the really disturbing video clips that I saw of the violence in Almaty in January, and that's why I came here to report on that. So when I first booked the ticket, I was expecting to be in a really dangerous situation. I was prepared to bring my bulletproof vest and my war reporting materials. I pushed my trip back like 2 weeks. I stayed in Astana for I think like 3 or 4 days, and then Almaty for the rest.
Did like they open the borders for foreigners?
Yeah, I don't know the details.
That's what I heard
generally.
though.
So I, as far as I'm aware, I'm one of the only Western journalists that's entered the country since the protests happened. I mean, I know there's many, I just don't know of them. But I do know that like most of the big Western outlets, BBC, Fox, CNN, whatever, have been like regurgitating footage that they found on the ground, like just from cell phones for a week. And I think honestly, like after the CSTO alliance like quashed this rebellion, I guess, the foreign press interest just fell off a cliff. Nobody wanted to come here anymore. Oh, okay, it's peaceful now. Oh, we don't want to cover a peaceful country. We're going to go to Ukraine. But there's still so much to learn and so much to investigate. Like, we still know very little about the origins of this protest, how exactly this very, very peaceful country, a country that hadn't seen violence in any serious sense for 30 years, just all of a sudden exploded. Like, there's so much to investigate.
So which city do you like better? Nur-Sultan or Astana? We prefer to call it Astana.
You're not the first person to tell me that. I also prefer to call it Astana because it's easier.
Yeah, it just stuck with me.
And I like how Astana and Almaty, they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. You know, the difference between Astana and Almaty is stark. It's quite a juxtaposition. It's like flying into a different country when you land in Almaty. Old buildings, fog, dilapidation, but culture, rich culture. So I've spent most of the last year in Yerevan, Armenia, which is also a former socialist Soviet republic. And there's a lot of similarities, I guess most notably the architecture, especially in Almaty, which still retains a lot of that, a lot of the Soviet buildings. Astana doesn't look very Soviet at all. Or it looks kind of like neo-Soviet, if that makes sense. Very grand, but like modern Soviet, right? But the biggest difference between Almaty and Yerevan, Armenia, the capital, is that Almaty is very, very multicultural. Whereas Armenia is almost completely comprised of Armenians. A few Russians, but it's pretty much ethnically homogenous. I was learning last night from your friend about all the different races that Stalin kind of dumped off into the steppe, and then I guess a lot of the local like nomadic Kazakh people saved them. Many of them.
They were very friendly, hospitable, and we were a donating country to the whole USSR. Went through some
horrible
times.
And so I'm sure that Kazakh people, I mean, I know that Kazakh people are very offended, to say the least, that Stalin used your country as the dumping ground for his political prisoners, and very bitter that Kazakhstan provided so much to the Soviet Union and got basically prisoners of war and political prisoners in return. So it's been interesting to see how that legacy has shaped Almaty. So what are these called?
Baursak.
Borat.
Bağırsak. So good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very doughy.
I can eat a ton of this, which is like not good for my
Well,
health.
In Canada, we would have bread and butter. But this is just deep fried bread. So it's the same thing, but
Yeah.
it's really good. How do you make this? Like, does the average Kazakh family have like a deep frying apparatus in their?
No, it's just in the regular pan. There's like tons of recipes for this, and every family is like proud to have their own version. And like some people use just like 2 ingredients, like I don't know, flour and salt or whatever. Some people use like a ton of ingredients and
Spices.
no spices. It's usually just very plain. Like our dishes usually are very
But
plain.
you can still have like variety of recipes, like how you cook it. Or how do you have so many different recipes if it's only a few different ingredients?
Because like it turns out differently. Like sometimes it's puffy, sometimes it's not. What difficulties aside from like being able to come here? What difficulties did you have coming in here? Maybe being here?
What difficulty? I mean, the biggest difficulty is just that I don't speak Russian, which is very embarrassing.
And you don't need to know like what kind of language you need to know to navigate here.
Yeah, Russian would be the one,
Russian,
of
yeah.
course. No, there's no way I'm going to learn Kazakh. But as a journalist who's spent a lot of time in another Soviet country,
It's just useful all over, yeah.
exactly, and so it's a goal of mine in 2022 to learn Russian. But kind of there's 2 things, like the guilty convenience of speaking English is that anywhere you go in the world, people speak English,
Yeah.
even broken English.
Yeah.
It does bother me. Like we were at this bar last night, and they're playing like the same like top 40 bar
Yeah,
music that I would hear in
Yes,
Toronto.
everywhere,
Like
yeah.
I didn't come to Kazakhstan to hear like Nicki Minaj or whatever, right? Like I want the traditional.
Yeah, but it would not make sense. Like traditional is like more. It's not party music.
Bars isn't tradition. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
vibe isn't a traditional
Because
Kazakh.
I've seen some questions in my nightlife video that is there like a traditional bar? I'm like it doesn't exist. Like
Kind of like a oxymoron.
unless you go unless you go to a wedding or something, then you'll see some Kazakh music.
Yes, I wish that I got to see some live music. Maybe what's the instrument? The 2 strings.
The Dombra.
Yeah, I really wish I got to see that.
So did you need to get a visa, or were you just like using your press
No.
pass and just
Yeah,
walking?
Kazakhstan is visa free for Canadians, but I did have to get press accreditation.
Okay.
So that was the reason
Was
why.
there like a D something, some kind of status you had to get?
I just got a standard press accreditation.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we said, hey, we're filming. Oh, like for COVID? No, yeah, you had to get a PCR test. Yeah,
That's it?
that's it. You don't need a vaccine to enter Kazakhstan,
Oh, okay.
which messed me up because I'm used to you
Just
either
traveling with your vaccination
just the vaccine. Yeah, so I almost missed my flight coming here. That's a whole other story. It's not that interesting, but yeah, I mean the press accreditation. But I mean, I haven't really needed it except in one instance. But
3 things you liked about Kazakhstan and 3 things you didn't. To be fair. As short as you can.
I really like your rice, carrot, chickpeas,
Oh, plov.
plav. I love that dish. It's served everywhere, and I love it.
Sorry.
You should start eating. So we're.
Yes, I just started eating.
Let me just explain. So we came to this restaurant called Rumi. I did cover it in one of my videos in Astana actually. And I kind of forgot about this place. And I really wanted some plov because I just came from Thailand and I wanted some local food. And Finn needed to try more of Kazakh food.
So this is interesting.
Let me show
Привет.
here too.
I've noticed this. They serve you with a spoon and a fork, not a knife and a fork, which is interesting.
took it as a knife.
I guess I don't really. I'm just gonna use the fork. I think. Should move this. Okay. So that was beef, presumably. I'm gonna say that's the horse sausage.
Yes. The
Okay.
whole thing is beef, but like that is sausage.
Those are the yellow carrots, the chickpeas. I had this meal in the Hazrat Sultan Mosque in Astana. So, I'm not Muslim. That was actually my first time in a mosque, I think.
Obviously.
Are there cafeterias in mosques usually? Is that a normal thing? they serve food in mosques?
I'm not sure about other countries, but in Kazakhstan.
In
yeah.
Kazakhstan? Okay.
In Kazakhstan, they have cafeterias everywhere.
Well, it was excellent. This one's good too. Yeah, sorry, one more time.
You have to try the horse sausage.
I will try. How do I say this again?
Bağırsak.
Barusak? Did I actually get it right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've tried this though, so yeah, I'm gonna try the horse sausage. Here we go. There's no knife though. You just eat it all.
You just eat it all.
That's
yeah.
okay. It's good. I appreciate the variety the country has to offer. Like being in these two different cities, feeling like I was in two different countries. That was really fascinating.
Is that your second point?
Yeah, that's my second point. I love to feel like I was in two countries when I was only visiting one.
Oh wow.
I loved hearing Russian everywhere because I really do want to learn, and it sounds so cool.
So I asked you earlier, is this in Kazakh or in Russian?
It's in Russian.
I thought it was in Russian. The only way I've been able to distinguish, and I hope I'm not wrong about this, but
Yeah.
is the Kazakh H. It has a little blemish on the end of the H.
Mm-hmm.
How different does Kazakh sound to Russian?
Very different. It's more like I can say something. Мен қазақша сөйлеп жатырмын.
One more time.
Менің атым Салтанат. Мен қазақша сенімен сөйлеп жатырмын.
That's in Kazakh?
That's in Kazakh.
Okay.
Менің
I've heard enough Russian to know that it's, yeah.
It's different, right?
Yeah.
Мен бауырсақты жақсы көремін. See, like it's very different.
That's the same phrase in Russian?
So бауырсак is in Kazakh, like the name
Right.
of this one.
Okay.
So that's what I said, like I like бауырсак. Yeah, like it sounds very different, but like we have Cyrillic and we just have like how many? 9 more letters?
3 things I didn't like.
Yeah.
Astana is freezing. Don't go there. Not until
I agree.
May if you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of smoggy here.
Yeah.
Like the air quality isn't great.
In
And
Almaty?
yeah, and one of my Airbnb landlords sucked. But that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, did you notice any kind of like traits to Kazakh people? Like them being
I don't
a
know.
certain way?
I feel like I haven't been here enough to.
Yeah. To grasp that.
Yeah, no, well, to make a good diagnosis of like Kazakh people, I don't think I have a good grasp on that. People have been very nice to. I mean, look, as a foreigner, especially as a journalist, like when I come to other people's countries, they're very hospitable and they're very appreciative that somebody from Canada would come all the way over here to document their struggle, their life, their culture, whatever. So it's not like I've been treated badly here by anybody, really.
Have you been mistaken by like for a local?
I think that when people see me before I open my mouth, just like when I'm in Armenia, they assume that I'm Russian,
Yeah.
which makes sense. I do sort of look Russian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious immediately afterwards. But in terms of like idiosyncrasies or like character traits of Kazakh people, I find that they're very observant. Like Kazakh, they really look you up and down, and not just me. Like I noticed that people really, I find they stare sometimes.
Yeah.
Not just at me. Like it's not just that I'm a foreigner. I feel like that's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah. You can
Everybody
tell.
cares about everyone.
Appearances.
Yeah.
First impressions.
So in terms of like using apps and like finding apartments and like, what did you use?
I use Airbnb to book my
Your hostel too?
Yeah, I found a hostel on Airbnb. The hostel was a really interesting experience because it was just me and like 15 Kazakhs, all like other younger people.
Interesting.
And they were so fascinated by me. Like I'd walk into the common room area and just like I said earlier, they all
Did they
just
talk to you?
Yeah. There was like a couple people that spoke English, and it would be like I'd sit there and I'd be on my
They're like,
laptop.
oh, where are you from?
I'd be in my laptop, and like every 30 seconds, like this one girl would like communicate a question to the rest of the group in English, and I'd answer them, and then she'd tell everybody else, and then they'd like speak in Russian or Kazakh, whatever they were thinking about. I don't know. So that was really cool. Yeah, Airbnb for my apartments, and then Yandex. I already had Yandex because that's an app they use in Armenia too. So what else?
What about maps?
A combination of Google Maps and Yandex Maps. Apple Maps didn't work at all here.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know why, but
okay.
Apple Maps is the easiest one to use usually for me, so most we got here. Kazakh traditions. Oh, I could talk about the wedding I went to.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, did I tell you about this?
Okay.
Yeah, so
I stumbled upon this.
I stumbled upon it. Yeah, I was shooting in the Hazrat Sultan Mosque, and like there was just there was a wedding, and there was another photographer there.
It wasn't a wedding. It was just like an Islam.
Right. Well, it was
signing.
It was very like clerical or procedural. Yeah.
It was just like part of it.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of like juxtaposing the Islamic wedding tradition as opposed to like a Christian wedding, much more clerical and like procedural. So I was reading about it afterwards. I'm not sure which stage of the wedding I had witnessed, because I understand that Kazakh Islamic weddings and Islamic weddings in general, they take like months, right? And there's all sorts of different.
It's just like a regular wedding, and then there is a registration part where you sign like the Islamic part, but not everybody does that.
I see.
And some people just get like the government official registration.
Right. So anyway, I stumbled upon some phase of the wedding, and they let me photograph the whole thing, and that was really interesting.
Was it bizarre?
It wasn't bizarre. It was, I guess, more surreal. They were very kind to allow me to like, a stranger to be with them on such an important day. I send them the photos in return.
Oh, they love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? Like free photos.
Yeah. It was interesting. So they spoke, I guess, probably Kazakh or Russian throughout most of the not procedure, but like the event, whatever. And then the imam, I imagine he was singing in Arabic when there was some sort of customary song. So that was interesting to see the Arabic seep into the tradition there.
Well, it's been here since like 13th century or something. How safe is Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan's very safe. The world is much less dangerous than people think. Take it from a conflict journalist. Like, even in countries in serious strife, the chances of you being kidnapped or shot or whatever, I mean, it's just not going to happen unless you're inserting yourself into a really dangerous situation. I don't recall ever being worried about like street crime here. I mean, the January Rebellion is its own beast, and and I could have been walking into a much more dangerous situation, but Kazakhstan, historically for the last 30 years, has been and is a very safe place, and that's one of the things I've really tried to unpack here, is how a very peaceful country was just so suddenly, like violence just erupted seemingly out of nowhere, right?
So you've seen Borat?
I've seen Borat. I haven't seen the entire. What did I think of Borat? God, it's a long time ago. It was funny, real funny.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that you knew about Kazakhstan, right? Before you did your research.
That was the only thing I knew about Kazakhstan up until like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I have done some other reading. My magazine did send a correspondent here in 2019.
That's
so I did know more than just Borat. I learned recently that the movie was actually shot in a Romanian gypsy village, and Borat's sidekick was speaking Armenian, which is interesting. Because I didn't ask me anything on Instagram after I told everybody I was going to Kazakhstan. And I got like 4 or 5 questions about Borat, of course. And I was warned by several people, including you through your video, not to make Borat jokes here.
To be safe, yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't seen the second one. I've seen like 5 minutes of it. Because they made it politically correct. Like, who wants a politically correct Borat? That's stupid.
Nothing could be further from the truth in terms of what you guys look like. So far, how you behave, I'm yet to be really like put off by a Kazakh in terms of Borat features, but the real stark contradiction to how that movie portrayed your country and how your country really is the city of Astana, which is just so obviously insanely wealthy. It has some of the most magnificent architecture I've ever seen in my life. It's so grand and mesmerizing. So I was in Buffalo, New York, a couple weeks ago for a football game. In the United States of America, the richest country in the world, and basically it's just full of hollowed out factories, and their economy is like fentanyl and payday loans and like. But Astana, like that's a booming economy, and no one would ever think that any city in Kazakhstan could be more prosperous than any city in America, back in America, because they're very insular people. As are Canadians. Canadians like to think of themselves as more polite and more open-minded.
So if you were to share about your experience with your friends in Canada or somewhere else, what would you say about Kazakhstan? What struck you the most?
I mean,
like we look Asian, there's like Islam, we speak Russian, sometimes.
Yeah. So I guess the confluence of culture and language really does accurately represent the unique place that Kazakhstan sits in world geography. It really is the center of the world. The center of, I guess, the Turkic world, and then Russian, and then you have Chinese influence from the East. So that's all Kazakh people look Asian. They speak Russian. They have this Turkic ethnic influence in Islam too.
Yeah, but it's not like Arabic countries.
No, it's not like Arabic countries at all. It's very unique. It's a very, very unique place. That would be the thing I'd say.
Because I get a lot of comments like, "You're Muslim. Why do you do this? You're Muslim. Why do you do that?" And I'm like, I didn't say. First of all, I'm not Muslim. Just because I live in Kazakhstan, that's like, you get the point.
Yeah, well, I think the author in the last Palladium piece about Kazakhstan said that these are Muslims of the steppe. They're completely different than Muslims in Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or any other Muslim country. Yeah.
Will you come back?
I will come back. I absolutely will come back. I have to.
What's the best time to visit?
What's the best time to visit? I hear it's very...
Probably not winter, right?
No, not winter. I hear it's very, very pretty in the spring.
Yeah.
I look forward to...
Actually, fall is also amazing.
Yeah? Well, I look forward to getting out of Almaty.
Canada,
Like, cause I mean, this hasn't been a vacation. Like, I haven't been here to do tourist attractions and travel around the country. So, yeah, I'd like to come back in the spring and like drive outside of Almaty, see some more of the landscapes. I want to go mountain biking at the resort, whatever it's called, just outside of Almaty. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Would you recommend people to visit Kazakhstan?
Absolutely. Come check out Kazakhstan. There's nowhere quite like it. Russian-speaking people in Central Asia who have Turkic and Asian influence, and in general, I would say, don't visit an all-inclusive resort. Get out and see really interesting parts of the world that aren't properly represented in media or in Hollywood. The amount of people that asked me about Borat when I initially told them I was coming here it's disappointing because there's
good PR. I mean, still,
sort of, but there's just like there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like.
Sure.
There's nothing like Borat in Kazakhstan. Anyway, so I think I would recommend people see the world in general, and Central Asia, Kazakhstan is specifically a very neglected part of the world. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy you came. You saw the country. You actually enjoyed it.
I did. Yeah.
I tried to show you a few places here, and thank you for all your feedback. And
yes, please, shameless plug, follow me on Instagram at Finn Looked Into It, and follow Palladium Magazine on Twitter.
Yay! Bye guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.